is what's best for business.
I gotta go take a big hairy dump.
Oh my God.
Tonight's main event, a tag team match.
Yes. It's about 20 ticks.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, the wrestling podcast where we review every segment of Raw and give you the wrestling news of the week. My name is Turbo Tony and we're here with my client who defeated the Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania, Matt Mahasander.
Why? Just because he won't shut up about it?
Yeah, why not? You know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Try to get a bit more creative than just calling you sexy stuff each week, you know, because otherwise it's a bit odd.
But it makes me feel good that you call me sexy stuff.
Yeah, why not? But it's disturbing for our viewers, you know. So,
fair true.
So thanks a lot of you guys for catching up with us this week. It's quite a packed episode of Let's Talk Wrestling podcast this week. Lots to talk about. Before I get started, how are you doing, Matt? Before I forget.
Doing pretty good.
Doing very good.
I can't really complain.
This episode is going to be an interesting one. Reason being is I've got a lot of stuff. We generally try and find the silver lining in a lot of stuff in wrestling. This week, not so much. There's a lot of stuff that I'd like to talk about this week, and in quite a negative light. Our topic for this week is TNA in general. We're going to talk a lot more in TNA as a whole. We also reviewed...
You are.
Well, I am, yeah, and also you're going to add in your thoughts as well. Because if you haven't caught the podcast before, I watch TNA and Matt watches NXT when we can throughout the week. If we have a little bit extra time to watch anything bar the 3 hours of Raw each week, and obviously Extreme Rules, which was over the weekend. If you want to catch our Extreme Rules review, that we actually uploaded that during the week, actually just the day after Extreme Rules, didn't we?
Was it? Yeah.
We've got that up very quick. So if you want to catch that as well, and we review all the matches and give our general thoughts on the pay-per-view as a whole, I think generally the consensus is we thought it was better than the cards kind of showed it to be, but that doesn't give it a full pass on it being amazing sort of thing. So we'll see how it goes from there. But regardless, let's get into our wrestling news of the week, Matt. Quite a juicy set of news this week. So first off, after this week's Raw during the week on some of the live shows, it was reported that Sheamus and Sin Cara were reportedly involved in a backstage brawl. Yeah. And something that shocks me when I heard this. Yeah, it said that Cara apparently got the better of him. So
came off the winner of it.
Yeah. So now Sheamus has obviously tweeted a lot since this. He didn't deny it really. All he said was that's how Mexicans and Irishmen hug it out, which for me is code for I got decked and I don't really want to admit it.
So just like, it happened, but just play it off.
This is nothing new when it comes to wrestlers. You know, you think back to the times of Goldberg and Chris Jericho having fights backstage, and the multitude of Scott Steiner conflicts that were backstage in WCW is nothing new. But we haven't had one of these in a while, so it's quite interesting, really. And like I said, I was still shocked that Cara actually got the better of him. If we could get any message from Cara about this, he doesn't really talk, so no, can't really get much information from there. But yeah, I mean, if you put Sheamus and Sin Cara one-on-one against each other, I would pick Sheamus all day to get the better of him, but we don't know how it went down, I guess.
That's it.
All the people in Ireland not too happy about that. Maybe not happy about my statements on their hometown hero.
By a small Mexican.
Yeah. So bad news for you this week, Matt. Bad news, Barrett. Gave me a message to pass on to you. Mm-hmm. I know you're a big fan of Mickie James. You like her quite a lot. You had a little thing for Mickie James, almost like I do for Lana nowadays. Yeah. We would like to congratulate her on her pregnancy. So she's been taken off the market for you, Matt. Unfortunately.
That's it.
So
Oh well.
Accept it. Yeah, you'll have to just move on, I guess. That chapter of your life has passed. But yeah, she's due for a child, and I congratulate her on that. I believe it's her first, so that should be quite interesting. For any new mother, it's quite interesting having your first child. So, of course, the only reason I know that is because I have kids. Not that I am a woman and giving birth myself, of course.
But secretly, you are a mother.
I am a mother. Matt, I am your mother. No, let's carry on. Before we end up in a Russo-style plot twist, which we don't really want to be involved in on the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast.
No, we'll leave that be.
Yeah. A bit more of a juicy news here. Chris Jericho stepped in and stopped, apparently, David Benoit from making his in-ring debut. Apparently, Benoit was due to make his wrestling debut at a Heart Wrestling event. Jericho learned of this happening and called in advance and basically gave a thrashing to all the guys that were basically involved in the booking of it, saying, obviously, you know, because he's quite close to David Benoit, and basically said, the guy's not trained, you're putting him out there just to get cheap buys because of, what's happened, off the name. So this actually led to Chavo Guerrero cancelling his booking for that event as well. So obviously quite a bit of repercussion for this. Obviously when you've got a star like Chris Jericho giving you the what's up, then that leads to other people falling in line.
And then obviously from hearing sort of like the Talk is Jericho podcast and like his chat with Chavo, and you see that there's that mutual respect, and also they were part of the 4 people. It's the 4 people backstage.
Yeah, that's it.
So
that was actually one of the podcasts. I mean, you can't step outside your front door and find a new wrestler doing a podcast nowadays. But Jericho's podcast with Chavo Guerrero, I'd highly recommend it. It's a really emotional podcast.
If you were to just hear one of his podcasts, then that would be it.
Yeah, that's it. It's he talks a lot of stuff. We talked about this before about the Chavo podcast. Brilliant episodes that he did with Chavo. But yes, I fully agree with Jericho on this. David Benoit could be very easily exploited by a lot of indie scumbag promoters. I don't want to say that the promoters of this were scumbags or anything, but there is a lot of them out there, and they're going to be trying to cash in on the name and the history around that. And obviously Chris Jericho doesn't want that for David Benoit. I mean, he's got to learn the craft and then come in when it's the right time, and now is not the right time.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on that regardless, and we'll see how it goes from there. Kurt Angle. The news coming out about Kurt Angle. He tore his ACL, and everyone knows about that type of injury. It's quite a serious one. He's going to be out for about 4 to 6 months. And for someone of Angle's age, I'm not saying that he's over the hill by any means, but an ACL is quite hard to recover from.
I mean, it doesn't matter the age. The ACL could be a career-ending injury as it is.
Yeah. There's no doubting about it. It's a serious injury. Any injury that labels you out for 4 to 6 months is a serious injury, one that may give you a chance of not being able to perform in the ring again. And like I said, Angle's at the tail end of his career, so any injury like this is going to be very detrimental. So we'll see how he goes for his recovery period. I'm guessing Angle will be back, but this may have taken a large chunk out of whatever remaining time he had in his career for TNA. Or even maybe a possible WWE run, if he ever wants to get his Hall of Fame induction and ride to the sunset. So, yeah, a shame for the guy. I hear he's got his shit in order after his DUIs and all that other business that he was having.
So I hear he's keeps or play clean.
Yeah, and I mean, I last saw him on the Sacrifice pay-per-view, so he's been on TV quite recently. But as we said, ACL is a quite a hefty injury that you can have there. Continuing with our heavy TNA influence for the episode this week, Chris Sabin announced that apparently he is a free agent. He's gone from TNA. Yeah. And we were talking about one of the original guys, not one of the guys that's been there for as long as AJ Styles and everything. What you consider one of the founding guys of that company that really brought it into the mainstream. Another guy from that very elite list of guys that were precious to TNA, in my opinion, is gone. They've lost Styles, they've lost Sabin. I mean, Sabin's been off TV for a very long time now. I mean, I haven't actually... I saw him a few times, but since I've been watching TNA week in, week out, I haven't seen him on TV. Which seems like a shame for someone.
The last I saw of Sabin, he was their champion.
Exactly, and this is another example of TNA.
That wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah.
Which is quite weird to think.
Yeah, I mean, it's another example.
Suddenly he's gone from their champion to just nothing.
All that time and effort they spent on getting this guy the title. I mean, he dropped it like a month into having his title reign, so it wasn't really a long title reign. But all that time and effort that they gave to him is gone. now. So it's a shame. And this is nothing new with TNA. They tend to drop the ball a lot on their talent, and it even seems that the guys that have been able to kind of stick their head in the sand and grind through a lot of the crap, they're kind of saying no, and we're going to move on to better pastures. And AJ Styles is probably the biggest advertisement to anyone in that company that you can leave TNA and make a pretty healthy living.
Oh, to be perfectly honest, AJ Styles was sort of like the one person. It's like you go to just sort of a general wrestling fan, not necessarily a die-hard fan. I mean, even a WWE fan. Like, name me a TNA superstar, AJ Styles.
Yeah. He's the first one that I...
It'd be that or Samoa Joe.
And AJ Styles and Samoa Joe are the two names that prop out to me to TNA, almost like homegrown stars. You know, that they've made their name in TNA on TV, of course. I mean, obviously they were in Ring of Honor and stuff beforehand, but actually on a television show. But Samoa Joe's not on TV. He's been removed from the storylines for whatever reason, and now Sabin's gone. AJ Styles is gone. The format of TNA has changed quite dramatically, and Sabin leaving is one of those factors as well. I think Sabin will get a lot of work in Indies. I think he'll do just fine. He's an extremely talented guy, really entertaining. So, last bit of news this week, and probably, in my opinion, the one that got to me the most this week. A video was released highlighting the final weeks of Conor the Crusher's life.
Oh, yes. What a video it is.
This was released during the week. I mean, a lot of this obviously happened over WrestleMania. But if you're not up to scratch with this, there was a little boy called Conor, and he managed to talk his way backstage in one of the WWE events to meet Daniel Bryan. This is back when he was in
It was
part
a
of Team
Make-A-Wish.
No, well, according to this video, he talked himself backstage for when they first met Daniel Bryan. This is back when he was in Team Hell No.
See, I thought it was like a Make-A-Wish sort of thing.
I don't know, but regardless, it happened anyway. Conor was very sick, terminally, unfortunately, and he managed to meet Daniel Bryan, who was his hero. And if you remember, they had the iconic pictures of him putting Bryan in the yes lock and making him tap out and stuff like that.
That's it.
This particular video centered around his final couple of weeks of his life, and him going to the Raw before WrestleMania. He met all of the wrestlers that you wanted to. I mean, there was...
Got a pinfall victory over Triple H.
Yeah, he came into the ring, and he gave Triple H a good old slog and then pinned him. Mm-hmm. And very emotional stuff. They talk about obviously him at WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan went over to him after the match was finished and spent a lot of time with him there at ringside. A very emotional video. If you haven't seen it yet, just YouTube it up. Conor the Crusher. It's the first thing that will come up. It is a emotional 5-minute roller coaster. It's
a proper like all aboard the field train sort of thing.
It is. It's and. For a kid that obviously had a lot of health issues, for him to live out his dreams before his time was over, that's got to be warming to any wrestling fan out there. I
don't know. It's not even just sort of like for wrestling fans. Like I've seen the video be posted on pages that aren't even wrestling related.
Yeah.
Just like as a sort of like out of respect or like a tribute to. Just like a young sick boy.
Yeah, exactly. He got to live his dream before he passed, and he looked extremely happy in all the videos that they were showing of him here. So I mean, we can't do it justice by explaining what's on the video here. You've got a lot of the
just go watch it.
Yeah, just go and watch it and enjoy it. The one thing I will say before we move on about this particular subject, the match between Conor the Crusher and Triple H, I don't care what anyone says, that is my match of the week. Conor the Crusher getting the awesome victory over Triple H and pinning him in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3. That's my match of the week, and I don't care what anyone thinks. Oh, you should pick an actual match. That was an actual match in my eyes. I don't care.
It was a referee. The ref counted it.
Exactly. That's my match of the week. And to be honest, of some of the stuff on Raw, I think Conor the Crusher gave a better performance than the majority of some of the roster anyway. So, my hats off to Conor's family. I hope, obviously this happened a while ago, but, this must be quite a lovely way to spend the last couple of weeks of your son's life. And I very much appreciate being able to see that in a video form myself. So really good stuff there, and this is the kind of stuff that when you watch, you'd have to praise WWE for, that they go the extra mile for these things. So very good. So moving on from the Fields train, before we get any more teary and emotional, Raw this week. Just before obviously we start, if you're new to the podcast, what we do, I like to say this because we get new guys coming each week, and I see you guys subscribing every week, so we do appreciate that. The rise of the podcast popularity. Me, myself, and Matt quite happy about that. But if you're sorry,
how can we not?
Exactly, yeah. You're all aboard the LTW train. So what we do each week, if you're new to the podcast, is that we review every single segment of Raw. There's every match, every segment, even the small backstage segments. If they're small, we don't spend much time reviewing them, but we mention them regardless. It gives us something a little bit different that other podcasts don't do. So that's the reason why we do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get into a few things that are quite comical. However, this particular Raw has a few issues with it, and we'll go into as it goes along. You've probably heard a lot of it. If you're a diehard wrestling fan, you've probably heard a majority of it on Twitter anyway. But regardless, I'm procrastinating, Matt. Let's get into this damn thing.
That's it. Cut what you're doing.
Yeah, let's get into this. Oh, that's the second podcast your chair has exploded in.
I know. I need a new chair.
Oh, here we are. I didn't even think about this because it's the mystery around you that you're actually at internet form. But you're saying that as an internet form, you have a chair and it keeps.
I do.
Oh wow!
It was a digi chair.
More information about the elusive Marsander. I'm sure someone will eventually down the line draw some fan art of you of what they think you look like.
I'm like the Matrix. It's just ones and zeros.
Yeah, just lines of code. That's all you are. Regardless, Raw this week emanated from Albany. It was 1 day removed from the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. So obviously it's what we believe to be the start of new rivalries and build-ups possibly towards SummerSlam, this 6-month rotation. Not really that case. There was no Cena this week on Raw.
Nope.
He was saved.
Not that I minded.
No. He was saved for main events because WWE want to push the network. And the only way you can watch main event is by subscribing to the network. So they put him on there for that very notion. And you can expect a lot more of that going forward, that they're going to try and put a lot of this exclusive content on those shows. There was also no Bo Dallas debut, which I know Matt was crushed about.
That's fine.
I know you're... Stop playing it off, Matt. I know you're crushed. Your hero.
I didn't miss it.
No.
To be perfectly honest, I kind of wish Adam Rose didn't debut, but there we go.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get to that.
So, no Cena, no Bo Dallas. We'll have to wait next week for them. Apparently, I've heard Bo Dallas is going to be making his debut on SmackDown, which I heavily disagree with. Next week, that's when he's going to be making his debut. I would not like that to happen, personally. But we'll see how it goes from there.
Right.
I think if you debut, you have to do it on Raw. Going on SmackDown is pretty much like you debuting, and it's not going to make any...
Well, Bo Dallas isn't exactly a debut.
Well, yeah, you could say that. But I would say he's coming in with a completely new gimmick. The last time he was on TV was years ago now. And I think you have to treat it as a debut. That's personally. I mean, it's the same of when you get a guy that's being repackaged, you give him a new debut coming in as that thing.
That's very true.
So that's the way I'd book it personally, but we'll see how it goes from there. So the show opening in actually quite an interesting fashion. Everyone who's listened to us before knows that I'm a big fan of shows that start with a match. Because I think sometimes you start with the promo. If the promo isn't good, then the crowd will be majorly dead over the rest of the show.
There's a way to make it stale.
Yeah, that's what I believe anyway. Are you on the same sort of thought for that? I mean, I think you're kind of like...
It can be a good promo or a match, either or.
Yeah,
it can't just be just like I want to talk about something.
Yeah, a bad promo can kill the momentum already.
Like if it's, say, for example, like recently, like on the Raw that closed with Daniel Bryan getting attacked by the Authority.
Yeah.
Like for the Authority to be talking about it the next Raw as an opening, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But if it's just like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, cool.
Imagine
Hasn't
if
even started and it's died.
Imagine if Randy Orton came out and started giving one of his trademark
I
promos.
am Randy Orton.
What a way to kill the show before it's even started, sort of thing. Yeah. Now, I do like matches starting up shows. You can have a promo, but after that, quite a big promo. Like, sometimes they do these promos for like 15 minutes. I'm fine with that as long as it's after a match to get the crowd ready and fired up for it. But this match itself was quite unique. It was a 20-man over the top rope battle royal for the US title.
Yep.
WWE seems to have a bit of a hard-on for battle royals recently, but it's not too much of an issue. So obviously this was repercussions after the Shield beating Evolution on Extreme Rules.
Oh yeah.
So Dean Ambrose.
It just screamed revenge. Just like from the moment, it was just like, oh, and yeah, it's for the United States title. It's a 20-man over the top rope battle royal. It's just like, yep, that just screams revenge.
Yeah. And in sense, it makes sense for the storyline. You guess you got a corrupt guy in power, going forward. Yep. So this battle royal, as with all battle royals, really is a bit meh, skippable until you get to like the last 5 or 6 people. That's when, as JR would say, business starts to pick up. And basically everything breaks down, and Sheamus gets the win. He's the new United States champion. He chucks Dean Ambrose over the top rope to be the last guy.
It's the one that I liked is the fact that Dean Ambrose was the last guy to be eliminated.
Yeah, and
it wasn't just the fact that it's like, oh, it's done now. Like 20 people, he was 18th. He was like second to get thrown out.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, and it's just. I like the way that they booked Ambrose during this, personally. I think he came out very strong in this match. You look at all the people that he eliminated. He eliminated a lot of people until Sheamus got the better of him. Yeah. So he came out looking pretty good after this match.
Well, the thing is, it was fresh off an elimination that Sheamus got him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So in all eventualities, Sheamus actually won with a very heel style win. He didn't wait till Ambrose was ready and fight him like a man. He sprung out very Edge style and took him out. Well,
apparently that was meant to be
his heel
turn. Yeah. And it's just like, no, it doesn't. See, the thing is, like an out of nowhere, like the bro kick is an out of nowhere attack.
Yeah,
it's an out of nowhere finisher. For heel or face, it doesn't really matter. Oh, we did the bro kick. Oh, he's now a heel.
No. I don't think. I think if WWE were hoping that he was gonna get a chorus of boos after doing that, then they should have thought otherwise. They've been educating their fans that Sheamus is a good guy for so long. It's going to take a bit more than one night to convince them otherwise. And to people like us, all he was doing was trying to win the belt. You know what I mean? Which you can't really blame the guy for. But I get it. He still wins in the kind of heelish fashion, but not nearly to the fashion that I guess WWE were hoping for. Yeah. One other note I made with this is that it's actually quite funny now how many Battle Royals and Royal Rumbles Big Show's been involved in without actually winning one.
Well, you mean the amount of times that Big Show gets called the favourite to win?
Yeah.
So, because he's the world's largest athlete. He's like, oh, he's the favourite to win. No, he's never the favourite to win.
I think this is like a safe bet now that the bigger you are in a Royal Rumble match, the less likely you are to win, funnily enough. Yeah. They just don't like to book big guys winning that match. So if you're a giant, which you think that Big Show, I mean, legitimately, come on, Big Show, if they were doing it and it was a legitimate fight, Big Show would win every single Royal Rumble. There's no way anyone's going to pick him up.
It'd be like his specialty match sort of thing.
Yeah, except if it was Cesaro, maybe. I guess Cesaro could pick him up. So we all know that he's made of Adonis blood at this point. So
yeah,
I just think it's quite funny now the amount of times he comes down and like, oh, Big Show's the obvious favourite, and then gets eliminated midway through.
Yeah,
quite funny. Triple H came out at the end of this with his best kind of troll face, and he announced that there's going to be a 6-man tag match with the Shield and Wyatts, and I set up the main event for the end of the show.
Yep, and that made me happy.
Yeah, which me and Matt were quite happy with that. Anything involving Shield and Wyatts is going to be gold. And later on they did deliver. We'll talk about that match obviously as it comes up. But you put these two factions together. These are the two factions that time in, week out, deliver very high-class matches. So, yeah, brilliant. I still remember how excited we were during Elimination Chamber for these guys to actually
Jesus,
fight.
Yeah.
So that
was like just crazy nervous energy, like sort of schoolboy energy, just like ooh.
Of which we haven't had in a while, So that's it. That was good. I like that. So after this match, anyway, Sheamus gets interviewed by Renee Young. I guess this was part of his heel turn, which really wasn't much of a heel turn.
It wasn't a heel turn. It
No.
was just sort of him talking about how I just won the title, fella.
Yeah.
And then that was about it, you know?
The only thing he said about Dean Ambrose was no hard feelings, which seems like a very face thing to say. So he could have said, well, I was going to win anyway, you
It
scrub.
sounds like such a,
you know?
a face Irish thing to say.
Yeah, like if he was being here, he could have said, well, it doesn't matter, I would have beaten him anyway for the title. Dean Ambrose is a scrub, he could never wish to beat me. That's heel, but even going no hard feelings, that seems like quite a face thing to do. Maybe they're going to do the slow burn with Sheamus, but I don't think it works, personally. He did get a few boos anyway, Sheamus, during this segment about it, but I guess next week on Raw, they either are going to backtrack and just going to keep Sheamus as he is, which I think would be wrong, or they're going to go full pelt and like maybe Dean Ambrose. I think Dean Ambrose already had his rematch, but maybe there's an altercation between the two, and Sheamus becomes like the Evolution's new tool for beating up Dean Ambrose for the belt.
Well, he's meant to be.
Yeah, apparently there's thoughts of having Sheamus as the replacement for Batista when he leaves Evolution, which I think would be okay. I don't have too much of a problem with that, personally.
I don't have a great problem.
You got to fill that role, and Sheamus can fill the big tough guy role in that faction. That's not a problem.
Easily.
But if they're going to do that, they need to do that quick, because Batista is going. I'm shocked that he's still around. He will be going to promote that movie soon.
The fact that he turned up at the end of the night, yeah.
He will be going soon. And I wouldn't put it past maybe Shield taking him out and then Sheamus taking his place before the pay-per-view coming up, personally. But we'll see how it goes from there. So, the first of many backstage segments involving Daniel Bryan this week.
Yep.
We are hot on Daniel Bryan, as we always have been. This week, however, we give a unanimous thumbs down. Now, we're also going to talk about Bryan more, in general, with his main segment and his match. But we'll just explain what happened here. Basically, he's backstage with his new wife, Brie Bella. Steph makes an appearance, and she basically says that, Kane isn't finished with him, and they should be safe staying in their room. And they find a Kane mask hanging on the door, which is supposed to be scary. Which I don't get.
No, I didn't buy it.
No. When we did our Extreme Rules review, we said that this actual rivalry was good for a month. It's no good after that, and it's starting to get to that point now.
Already. That's it.
Very quickly.
We were just like, it was good up until now. Like, now the pay-per-view's over, we want to call it quits. And it's like, the week after, it's like, they've decided to go for it. I'm sick of it already.
Yeah. It's not... they didn't get over Kane as a monster character before the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, ideally, and now they're still trying to build up towards it. Now I don't agree with it. We'll go into it more later. I've got a bit of a I hate to say rant, because I don't like to rant on stuff, but heavy thumbs down to the later parts involving Daniel Bryan. RVD went against Cesaro. This is obviously a play up of their conflict on Extreme Rules.
Yep.
RVD was sporting a busted eye from the night prior.
He had a lovely shine.
A big shiner. Heyman came out, and yes, he did talk about Brock Lesnar breaking the streak, but I didn't bother that much, because he spent, even though it was only a little bit more time, but he spent more time promoting Cesaro this week than Lesnar, so that's a plus for me. That's what he's there to do while Lesnar's not around. It's not to remind us what Lesnar did. It's to promote Cesaro. That's my opinion on it anyway.
That's it. The job of a manager.
Exactly. So, good match between these guys for when it lasted. This went past an ad break, so it had sufficient length. And RVD, for all the things that maybe some people say about him, he still goes at a pretty good pace. That's one thing you can say about him. He can still wrestle pretty damn well, especially in a guy, especially in there with someone that's got an alternate style to him like Cesaro. So that's the main reason why I enjoyed this match quite a bit, because it was the typical clash of styles sort of thing.
That's it. I mean, you got your sort of like your high flying kicks, and then you just got your straight up grappler.
Yeah, and
which I wouldn't put Cesaro as a brawler. Cesaro is a grappler.
Yeah, he's a power grappler. I think that's probably the best way you can describe him. A lot of suplexes, a lot of
deadlifts.
There's a little bit of striker in him, I guess. Sometimes like he uses a lot of uppercuts and stuff.
Yeah, but say he's striker. The only striker in him is the forearm
and the uppercut.
His European
uppercut.
Yeah.
Which he does use a lot. So I guess that's good. But good match between these guys. At the end of the match, Cesaro gets the disqualification by basically wailing on RVD in the corner, which extends their feud. So, if any questions were over Cesaro, whether they're going to make him face or heel, there's none now. He's going to be heel. That's the way they're going for.
You don't get DQ. You don't lose through DQ if you're face.
Yeah, in that manner either. You don't sometimes you can get like a heel win where you're a pussy and you like get a cheap, DQ and then you run away. This is him getting DQ because he would not abide by the rules because he kept bashing the shit out of RVD. It was very aggressive DQ.
Even to the point that you even had Heyman just going, stop it, like, you've been disqualified, you will be suspended, sort of thing. Which
I like. I like that about Heyman, that he, that as a manager, he does that, and like he calms down the likes of Lesnar and stuff doing that sort of thing. I like it when managers get more involved in it. We're seeing a sort of resurgence in managers the last couple of months, which I do like. I think there's a...
You sure about that?
Well, when you're looking at a lot of the guys now, you look at the likes of Rusev, these guys would normally come out without any sort of manager, or anyone by this
time. Well, Lana probably serves more translator than manager. But...
She still is a manager. We'll get into more what they do later on, but even Coulter coming back the last couple of years, Heyman being more prevalent. I hate to say it, but even the likes of Los Matadores have got El Torito. There's another person there involved.
That is not a manager. That's a gimmick.
That's a gimmick. But you know what I mean. I mean, we remember we actually had one of our old episodes before the relaunch of this podcast. We talked about the dying breed of managers and how they can really help to be a mouthpiece for guys that aren't very good at talking. But that seems to be coming more and more back nowadays. So that's a good thing. And there, like I said, there is a spot. Any guy that you don't think is getting over, pair him up with a manager. There's a second chance of him getting over. One thing I will say about Cesaro before we move on is that his moveset is still very face. That's the one thing that that I'm worried about with him. I don't see a huge problem in it.
How so?
Well, his swing is a very face move. I mean, people get booed for stopping it. But I mean, a lot of his moves are wow moves.
I honestly can't think of anything. Like his uppercuts out of nowhere.
His deadlift is a very face move, I think.
His deadlift superplex?
Yeah, I think that's a very face move because it's just showing his superiority over someone.
But it's a difficult one to say because you can say it's quite face because it's like, oh, look at me being all flashy, but then it's also like, look at me and how much more powerful I am than everyone else.
Which I think would work if he was a bigger guy. That's the only thing I'm saying about that.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes from here. I mean, he got a decent amount of heat for the finish of this, so fair enough if they're going around with this. They still need to change the entrance music. It's fucking awful. Did you catch it this week?
I don't know. I don't want it.
Yeah, the air raid.
I don't like it.
Siren.
Yeah.
Not keen on it at all. I would have much preferred. I mean, maybe they're changing it because they.
But the fact that he's got like an air raid entrance music and then he comes out looking like Top Gun.
Yeah. They should give him Danger Zone. Maybe it's the entrance music.
Actually, that would probably be better.
Yeah, anything is better than what he's got. It's pretty awful. Every now and then, WWE gets it really wrong with entrance musics, and this is one of them. 9 times out of 10, they're really good, but no, not in this case.
This is the one.
And the quicker they change it, the less it's going to make the transition. You look at Barrett, the amount of entrance musics he's gone through over his period, and he hasn't been with the company for decades and decades. He's had loads of entrance musics until they finally settled on the one he has now.
I think it's because he spent quite a lot of time coming out to not necessarily his own music, but to like the factions music that he was in at the time.
Yeah, Nexus and the Core.
And the Core.
He was taking their entrance music, and then he was having remixes of their entrance music, and then he kept changing it backwards and forward.
And now I really like his entrance music.
Yeah, I think it works for him personally, Barrett's. And he needs to settle on it. He's settled on this one for a while. Any more changes is going to do my head in. But for Cesaro, needs to change for his entrance music. It's part of his presentation. That's very important.
Yeah.
So, as I said, with Cesaro and RVD, the ending of this match makes me think they're going to build to a match maybe at the next pay-per-view between these two, and Cesaro will go over again. That's the way they're going to do it.
That's it.
And rightly so. I mean,
RVD's not around to win. He's around to put people over.
Exactly. He's like Jericho when he comes back. He's there to make other people look good for the rest of their careers.
That's it.
Which makes me think that they wasted Jericho on
saying that
Fandango. Yeah, you look at him now. But I think that's a topic maybe for another day. We could spend a lot of talk about wasted.
Why is Fandango such a dive?
Yeah. Bray Wyatt As I said this week, it's a mixed bag, all right. And I think this Bray Wyatt promo is just another mention of how brilliant he can be on the mic. Fantastic on the mic this week, as usual. But I think this is, while he's always good, I think this was better than his usual stuff. Personally,
it was quite a face one though.
He is dancing a very thin line between face and heel with his promos. I mean,
sort of like,
in one
I'm
sentence,
I'm here for the girls that are, the girls that thought they were too ugly to be prom queen, and the kids that got ignored and bullied and all things like that. It's like, I'm here for the outcasts sort of thing.
But he says that in one line, and the next line he's saying, "I'm going to burn everything down and replace it with my own image, and I am God." So it's a very heel and face thing within 2 sentences.
Yeah.
I think personally, if you're good enough to get it working, which I think he is, I think it's fine. I think he's doing it very, very well. He's continuing his rivalry with John Cena, which I don't see much traction with. But I guess one win for both. They're going to go for the rubber match to be the decider, which I guess, pro wrestling booking makes sense. I guess I've just seen these guys in the ring a lot. I'm not really interested in it much anymore. But this promo was fantastic. Really was. This is the main difference between why Bray is over as a scary, almost like a monster. I hate to say monster heel because he doesn't come out annihilating people every week, but he's over as this scary heel, and Kane isn't, because there's a huge difference in how the presentation between two of them are. One comes over as corny, the other comes over as creepy. There's the difference.
Originally Kane was very intimidating and very scary, and I'm talking like early day Kane.
Yeah, when he first debuted, yeah.
That's it, and I think now, because the Kane character's gone on for so long, and it's always really been the same character. Like, The Undertaker went through a few different changes. He went through the Ministry, and then he went through American Badass and things like that. But Kane's been Kane, through and through, day by day.
I think also he's been involved in way too many comedy gimmicks and gimmicks that don't portray him as a monster. So it's like a stop-start thing. People just don't get invested in it.
That's it.
We'll always remember him coming out and giving candy canes to people, so that's going to take a while to purge from our minds for Kane to be.
No, I think the one thing, because that's, we're talking about corporate Kane, and I'm just thinking like him and Daniel Bryan when Harry met Sally style in the diner,
which was funny. It was, and we enjoyed it.
But it was awesome. It was an awesome segment. Like the entire stuff with Dr. Shelby was great, but it's just this is Kane. He is a big monster heel, or he should be.
Yeah,
let's laugh at him.
When you do segments like that, it makes it doubly as hard to you getting back over as a monster heel. And it's all well and good doing that, but if you've got the long-term track, okay, we want to make this guy the monster heel again, then you've almost like fucked yourself. You can't really book him that way, and that's the reason why it's coming off so wrong. We'll go into that more later on anyway, but let's talk more about Bray Wyatt. This promo was fantastic. Really good stuff. And like I said, it danced a really fine line between face and heel. If you listen to JR's podcast, the Ross Report, which I highly recommend, I
don't listen to nearly as much as I should do.
Yeah. Well, in the last one, he spoke about Bray Wyatt walking between face and heel, and JR is convinced that eventually they're going to have to make a decision which one he is. I don't agree with JR personally. I think if he's as good as he can continue to be as good as this on the mic, he can walk that line for a few more months, and I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah.
Let the crowd decide if they want to boo him for being a heretic. Let them do it. If they want to chant and sing along with him, let them do it. Let them decide, and then you decide where you go from there. Personally, that's how I would book him.
The thing I love the most about the Bray Wyatt character is about the creative of literally just like, you know what, just do it. There's very little. It's his creation. It's not creative.
Yeah, and I think you can see that in the difference between the Kane angle and Bray Wyatt as a character. You can see a large difference, because with Kane it's almost like it's too corny, it's in your face, whereas with Bray it's in the subtleties, and it's sometimes in the stuff he says and the stuff he doesn't say.
And it's like the crazy movements as well, just sort of like the fact that he just can't stand still and just little things.
Now, if they get the Wyatt family doing comedy segments, that in the future with them, being like the.
Suddenly they're just the beer swilling NASCAR fans.
Yeah. Suddenly, if they change it to that, then if they went back after that to being the Wyatt family that we know of now, it's going to be really hard for them to do that, and it's the same thing for Kane. So, we'll see how it goes from there for Bray. There was no interaction with Cena this week, but they're going to have another match. It's inevitable. Cody Rhodes went against Ryback in the next match of the night.
Yep.
This continues with the storyline of Cody and Goldust having butting heads, so to speak, and not getting on that well, which obviously was building up towards the breakup as a faction, and probably the end of Goldust's reign, in my opinion. But we'll see how it goes from there in the company.
Yeah.
This match was probably best described as confusing to me, and I'll explain why. At the end of the match, which was a decent enough match, it wasn't bad, wasn't good.
Yeah,
it was okay.
It was a good match.
Yeah. At the end, anyway, Cody's on the turnbuckle, and Goldust and Axel start fighting. Axel throws Goldust into the ring post, which, according to, I guess, the way they wanted this to go, was going to put Cody Rhodes off, and then Ryback would do the shell shock off the top and then get the victory.
Yeah.
Which is what happened. The problem is that by the time that Goldust had actually hit anything, nothing really moved. It didn't look like he put anyone off. Cody didn't lose any of his footing by any means. He didn't slip off or anything like that. It looked wrong.
Ryback just snatched him.
Yeah, it looks as if Goldust had nothing to do with Cody getting slammed. So it was. The only way I can say is that they botched the ending of this. It didn't come out looking the way that they wanted to. It was a bad spot. I think that's probably the best way I can describe it. Now, they didn't have dissension between these two guys at the end of the show, but the commentators were going on about, Goldust was trying to do the right thing, but he cost him the match. It certainly didn't look that way to me, and to all the other fans, I guess. It just looked like he got slammed against a post, and that's pretty much it.
That was about it.
Yeah. So either they messed up, or just the actual writing of this segment was not up to par.
Yeah.
They could have easily done it of Axel maybe going up onto the turnbuckle to try and get him off, and then Goldust tries to stop him, but then Axel drops off and accidentally Goldust hooks Cody's leg by accident, and then they do it like that.
I mean, anything like that could have happened.
Yeah, exactly. So you could have done it like that, anything like that. But
they almost tried to sort of sell the thought of, hey, Goldust is heavy enough to move a turnbuckle.
It wasn't exactly like Axel ran him into it either. It was just a little kind of tap, you know what I mean? So, moving on. Mm-hmm. Another backstage segment with Daniel Bryan. There was a few of these over the event, which is unfortunate because all of them were horrific.
Yeah.
The lights go out in their room anyway, so the pair decide that they're going to leave. Stephanie comes and tells them that their car will be brought up to them because apparently it's too scary for them to stay in the arena.
Yes.
We're going to go into more of this. There's more Daniel Bryan stuff.
Hey,
and
you missed out the worst bit. The fact that it blatantly was the mask sat on a lamp.
Scary. Very scary.
Ooh, it's not even the fact that it's got a demonic glow to it. No, it was blatantly just like they've taken the top off a table lamp and put the mask on top.
Yeah, that's it.
Ooh.
And that mask, one thing I will add in before we move on, that mask isn't nearly as scary on Kane, off Kane as it is on him. That's one thing.
Yeah, that's it.
So, moving on, because we're going to talk a lot about the Daniel Bryan stuff. There's a lot of stuff, but we'll just talk about these small segments. But the actual Raw this week fell on Cinco de Mayo, which is obviously the 5th of May.
That's it.
They had like a celebration thing, I think I can call it, with Los Matadores. They got a promo, or what we could expect from a promo from these guys. They attempted a Mexican accent to laughable sort of avail. They argued on the pronunciation of universe. So that was
Juniverse. No, Juniverse. Oh no.
I get sometimes they do this
Stop.
like they get it. Well, the J is silent, but they say it. So there's nothing in front of you. Why would you get the pronunciation wrong? I don't understand. Maybe I'm just getting old with this entire angle because it's burning me out already.
It burnt me out before they turned up. Like, hey, no.
3MB came out. Now, normally when I say when a team comes out,
3.5 MB.
yeah, that's it. Normally I say when teams come out in the middle of a bad segment that they come out to save us. However, this week 3MB did not save us. They actually added to what was more of an awful segment.
Yeah.
They basically culminated with Jinder Mahal saying that in America, as he said it in very quick and foreign fashion that you should speak English. Which got a chant of USA, which I thought was hilarious. And then obviously Drew McIntyre threatening to spoil the party if a truce isn't made between the two groups. This obviously led to a fight between El Torito and Hornswoggle, and Matadores clear the ring. As they were doing this, JBL blew a gasket for some reason. He was begging with all of his might to basically begin what would be a midget tossing session. He wanted Los Matadores to throw Hornswoggle out of the ring full pace into the air. So either JBL's got a hidden fetish about midget tossing.
JBL or King?
No, it was JBL who was going mental about it.
Yeah. That's the fact that you said King to start with.
Sorry, JBL. Yeah. So JBL was he was going ballistic. There was nothing more in the world that he wanted.
Pick him up and throw him out the ring.
Yeah.
I've
not seen the guy so passionate about anything, even winning the WWE title when he was wrestling. It seemed like this was the one thing he wanted in all the world, was to
see a midget get tossed out the ring.
Yeah, that is essentially it. We've said this before in our build up towards Extreme Rules that they're pointing and laughing at Hornswoggle and El Torito because they're small. That's the reason why they're doing it. So these guys are actually good wrestlers.
Hey.
Well,
Hornswoggle has always been there to be laughed at.
Yeah.
Never forget the little people caught.
Yeah. But look, what I'm saying is that if people want to come say to us, you're being harsh on these guys, they're trying to do their best thing. Well, it's actually WWE are pointing the finger and laughing at them. And the reason why we don't find this funny is because it's not funny for us. So,
I think it's because we're not children.
If anyone's
grown out of that.
If anyone's watched Game of Thrones, that whole scene where Tyrion is watching all the other little people do the play and just be basically idiots, and he basically tells them, he's very ashamed because basically he's being mocked, for that. That's basically what WWE is doing. So WWE are the Joffrey in this situation, in my eyes, and I don't like it anyway. But
you won't go as far as poisoning them.
No, maybe not. Maybe that's going a little bit too far. Although it would be quite interesting, maybe if they had George R.R. Martin coming into
head of creative.
Then he could get Kane over as a monster heel. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, this ended in Matadores throwing candy out to the public and a little bit of me dying inside. Kofi,
a little bit.
Yeah, there isn't much of me left, I guess.
In which case, less died in you. I watched this whole thing unfold. I was like, no, just no.
As exciting as rubbing your nuts on a cactus. So,
ole.
Yeah, ole. Kofi went 1-on-1 against Rusev.
See, now when Kofi was out, I was like, oh, this is it. This is Adam Rose's debut. Nope, out came Rusev.
Yeah.
It's like,
So, a few things to note about Rusev here. They've changed actually a lot of his presentation. They've given him his own nameplate, which is with the Russian flag. They don't have the general Raw plate for him. Yep. They've got the one. They've got rid of his first name. He's no longer Alexander Rusev. He is just Rusev.
Yep.
And
he's now Cesaro, not Antonio Cesaro.
That's it.
He's now Big E, not Big E Langston. So that's part of the whole thing, I suppose.
Yeah. So we can expect Adam Rose just to be called Rose in the future, which will be quite
just Adam.
Just Adam, yeah. So. For the record, I'm joking there. With Adam Rose, they're going to keep his full name. That's not a problem. They're going for the Russian superpower gimmick with Rusev, which I know you're a little bit skeptical of, but personally, I'm all for it. I think that it's one of those timeless.
You said I was skeptical of it.
Well, at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view review, you said
I was just going on about how WWE was going a bit political by mentioning Putin a lot.
Yeah.
It's just like. Yeah.
I thought Lana personally here. I know I'm a little bit biased because I think she's a good-looking
You
woman.
thought Lana.
I thought she was brilliant
again.
on the mic this week. I thought that she was actually
Yes.
really, really good. She for a person to come in and have that much confidence on a mic is really impressive. She can do wonders for Rusev going forward. And Rusev apparently is a very lucky man because the two of them are dating. So, yeah, very lucky guy.
Now Rusev is that heel that WWE want you to be.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they've changed some of the stuff about his presentation. I expect this to stick going forward, and I personally think it can work. Now,
see, I like the change.
Yeah, I do.
Changing the nameplate and things like that. Yeah. It's a little extra feature that sort of just gets over the gimmick really well.
Mm-hmm. I do want to explain to a few of our fans that maybe a few of them may call this Kozlov 2.0. I heavily disagree, and I'll go into the reasons why. Rusev got a hell of a lot more going for Kozlov, for himself than Kozlov did. He's got Lana, who's got himself a mouthpiece, which Kozlov never had.
Yep.
He's far better than Kozlov ever was in the ring. He really is a lot better. And the moves that he does in the ring, actually, we're getting to this period in wrestling nowadays that fans want stiffer wrestling. They want to feel like it hurts. They want to believe again that this is actually hard wrestling.
They almost want the sort of like the fourth wall put back up again.
Yeah, and Rusev, now his finisher, maybe not so much, but a lot of the moves that he does look like they would genuinely hurt. So I think that gets him over a little bit better.
Well, his entire setup into the Accolade just looks painful.
Yeah, I mean, the actual Accolade itself, sometimes they've been doing it a little more recently, but some of the early matches I saw of him, like the people that he put the Accolade on, they would put their arms down, so it didn't look like it hurt at all, but now they're kind of hooking it up properly, so yeah, good to see that. It does actually look like it hurts then. So yeah, I mean, Kofi got some good offense in this match, but I mean, we know who's going to win this match regardless, and Rusev beat him in the end in decisive fashion. And my previous thought of maybe having him take the belt off of Ambrose, the US title, and going on a US title reign, which obviously would get him a lot of heat, is gone well out the window now. I don't see a Sheamus Rusev rivalry going out. If you're gonna have it, you need to have a American holding that belt who's a face, not like Jack Swagger. That's the way you get Rusev over huge as a heel, having him as your United States champion. Especially when they're going on about Russia being the superior nation and all this lot. So
that's it. And it's not like you're going to have a Russia versus Ireland fight.
No, for the US title, that just seems really out of whack for me.
Seems a bit crazy.
Yeah. So, another Bryan segment here. Basically, he was trying to leave with Brie. Steph tells him that he's got a match, and if he doesn't wrestle it, then he's going to drop the title.
How convenient. Just what Stephanie wants.
Yeah.
Lose the title, Bryan. Oh, no, he's going to fight.
When Stephanie got into this event, they had her bang on the window, which was supposed to be scary. It had
sorry, I've got heavy hands. Oh.
Yeah.
Clumsy bee.
The actual segment had the finesse of Great Khali in a ballet show. That's how much finesse it had. It was not pulled off very well. I've
just got Khali in my head to go da 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 da.
With a tutu on, no less. Let's not think of that. So, the ballet show of Great Khali and his infinite kiss cam. I'm sure they go over. Sure.
Oh God.
So, now we can actually begin on the whole Bryan's thing. Let's talk about his match first. Del Rio against Bryan. I've noted this was a fantastic match between these guys. It really was. The only problem was that the commentators and the way that this was presented, WWE didn't want you to think this was a good match. This was all about Kane coming in and being the scary guy. Every 5 seconds they reference the Demon Kane being around.
But where is Kane?
Yeah.
Oh, and Del Rio's got him down in a headlock. Oh, but where is Kane?
Yeah.
And no, Daniel Bryan fought out of it. The Demon Kane around somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, just shut up Kane.
It got so old very quickly, and especially when we're watching what was a really good match between these guys, and it was
really
potentially
good. Like match of the night.
Yeah,
for the show.
It was match of the night. It's obviously not a match of the week. Conor the Crusher gets that. But this was match of the night. Del Rio, Bryan. In my opinion, you may disagree, obviously, with the Wyatts and Shield match coming up later on. But I really enjoyed the actual wrestling involved in this match. But as we said, it left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth because they kept referencing Kane. They were not referencing this match that much at all. this match really was only meant to be there to get over Kane being around the corner at every turn. So Bryan gets the win, and Kane's music hits, and then literally as soon as it hits, the pair are out of there. They scamper off, almost to the case that you can see their silhouettes. Yeah. Now here we go. It's rant time. Okay,
yep.
Rant mode enabled.
I'm gonna make myself ready.
I'm gonna explain what happens in this segment, and I'm gonna explain everything that's wrong with this segment. Okay.
Yep.
So first off, Bryan tries to leave, but his car is fucked. When he tries to fix it, he closes the bonnet, and Kane is in the back seat of his car. They kind of did a bit of trickery with the camera that as soon as you put the bonnet down, then you saw him in there. Bree screams a bit. Kane stumbles as if he's trying to get her, but he's not really trying to get her. They have a fight. Kane falls from the car and looks like he's dead. Bryan stops, looks at him. Kane gets back up, does the sit up, and then Daniel Bryan decides he's seen more than enough, and he gets the hell out of there. He drives off with Kane chasing after the car. Yeah. So that's what happens, and we begin. So I don't know what the hell WWE are thinking booking this segment. I'm booking Raw, Bryan on this Raw. Let's look at the facts. Bryan has beaten Kane legitimately more than a couple of times over the last couple of months without any help from anyone else.
Yep.
And beaten him convincingly as well. You look at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, Daniel Bryan wasn't decimated by any means, not more so than Triple H did to him before their build-up towards WrestleMania. Kane got put through flaming tables and everything, and Bryan beat him decisively less than 24 hours before this event. You are now booking your new Uberface champion as a pussy.
Yeah.
When all relative evidence is contrary to
him as a pussy against someone who he's beaten.
Yeah, time and time
This
and
is
time
even the worst part. It's just like, you can't beat him. We've seen you beat him.
Yeah.
You beat him last night. No, I'm going to run from him.
Yeah. And the whole segment stank. It was bad. Just the idea. I mean,
I'll tell you what. Brie Bella's getting to sort of like a Melina stage. I don't want to hear her scream anymore.
The constant streams of screaming, which it wasn't convincing. Anyone that's done anyone that's in a scary situation like that would not act the way that Brie did, just screaming over and over and over and over and over again for no reason. It makes no sense. You'd be trying to possibly get into the car and drive out yourself, which she did not do, and stuff like this. And the fact is, Kane had plenty of opportunity to do stuff to her, but he was like stumbling in the back seat, and he wasn't really grabbing her or anything like this. It didn't look convincing. So the presentation of the segment was awful. The way they're booking Bryan is awful. Kane does not come off as a scary heel at all.
He just comes across as a weirdo hiding on your back seat.
Yeah, and this reminds me, unfortunately, of how they booked Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder had exactly the same treatment from Kane back when Zack Ryder was probably in his I hate to say ascendancy because he wasn't really that much, but when he was at least prevalent on television at the time.
Yeah. When Zack Ryder was getting TV time.
Yeah. Now, so there's that worry as well. So I don't think they're going to book in the same as Zack Ryder, of course not. I'm not indicating to that, but it does smell a little bit of that whole storyline that they did with him.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing as well, just before I forget as well, when Kane was knocked out on the floor and Bryan was standing over him looking, I don't know what he was doing, just trying to see what was going on, and Kane sat back up. If I were Bryan, the guy's just put hands on my wife. I would not drive away. I'd kill the guy. So not only is this guy...
Like, that whole thing of just like, whilst he was sat up, just like...
Kick him.
Yeah, you do stiff kicks.
You've just beaten the crap out of him. Yeah, you beat the crap out of him 24 hours prior. What makes you think in any... Yeah, so it came off really wrong from there. It just doesn't... It's so contrary to how they've booked it going on,
like, I'm going to be a fighting champ, but I run away.
Yeah. Now, I can understand what they were doing. So before anyone starts, kind of... It's saying, it wasn't that bad. I can understand what they were trying to do. It just didn't work. And
he was trying to protect Brie.
Yeah, a lot of people.
That's essentially it.
A lot of people agree with me on this. I've already seen a lot of the Twitter feeds, Facebook and other podcasters as well, saying along this. I just think that overall their presentation and the way they're booking their Uberface champion. I mean, would you think, right? This puts it all in perspective. Okay, it's probably the best way I can explain it. During the whole thing with Zack Ryder and Kane being in this position, Did John Cena run away from Kane in a car driving away as quickly as he could? No. He was the uber face at the time. He would stand up and fight for everything that he believed in, and beat Kane at his own game and eventually come out strong. So why is Daniel Bryan doing that now? He's the new uber face champion. It just makes no sense. So if you wouldn't book Cena that way, why would you book Bryan this way? I'm not saying they should be booked the same way, but why would you do it this way? It just makes no sense, personally, for me. Especially, like I said, when we've seen, it's not believable. We've seen Bryan beat Kane countless times over the last couple of months. A guy that lost in less than 5 minutes to the Shield at WrestleMania. It doesn't make any sense. So there's our first rant. We've got another one for TNA lovers later on, so I hope you guys enjoy that. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this particular segment, and I think they've done damage to Bryan. I don't think it's irreparable by any means. I think they could get back on track with this. I'm not that naive. I'm not going to go that hard into it and think, okay, they've damaged Daniel Bryan. He's completely ruined now. No, that's not the case. But
no, not at all.
It was
a weak moment.
It was a very, very poor segment, and this whole build up to them having another match, I'm not into it. So, yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Leave a comment what you think. Maybe how would you have booked it? That's how I'd like to see what other people would have done if they were booking that whole thing, and how would you have done that segment? Or maybe you wouldn't have done it at all. Just let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I think it's quite interesting seeing other people's storyline ideas and stuff like that. So, moving on from that whole shambles, the IC title rematch with Bad News Barrett and Big E. Another good match from these guys. Do you agree?
I would agree completely. Yeah.
Very
much enjoyed it.
These guys have at least some chemistry in the ring, and it shows. I think they do wrestle pretty well. Big E is pretty good in the ring. He has been, since he came up. He just hasn't had a lot. Some of his matches he hasn't been able to showcase that, but his matches with Barrett have been pretty decent. Not mind blowing, but pretty decent. Barrett got the victory again here using the bull hammer. And let's hope now that with Big E, with the title not on him anymore, that it kind of releases him and he can go off and do something else, and hopefully they'll book him and give him time, to get back over again, because he's been such a lull recently. But with Barrett, I also hope that they give him a legit storyline. I really do. That they don't just give him a contender.
Oh, just like, he's your IC title. What does he do? He just has it.
Yeah. What they need to do with their champions now, especially as they've got less of them now, they've amalgamated the two top ones, is book their champion strong. Have Barrett come out, have lots of time on the mic, because he's good enough to say, as the champion. Have actual legit storylines with people, and not just have these guys just and one thing I would give Barrett, considering his recent track record of matches, give him a lot of time each week to have a match with someone. That's what I would do. And beat a lot of good guys out there. You can have him wrestle some of the people that he had in the tournament again. I mean, he'll have a brilliant match against Ziggler for the title. If he's going to defend it against people, there's a lot of people you could put him with that will make him look like $1 million. So see how it goes from there. But I mean, do you really think they're going to do it? I mean, they haven't done it at all.
I'd like to think so. I mean, with Sheamus now as their United States champion, I hope they actually give I would still call them the minor belts, but I hope that they now give them more time.
Yeah, he's open to that. I'm not convinced myself. I don't think that they are ready to.
Hey, I can hope for it.
Yeah, we've been hoping.
That's about it.
It seems like every time that we get someone as champion, we think, okay, they could go somewhere, but they don't. So I'm certainly not holding out my breath for it anyway. But he's a guy who I think that if you put, I mean, we know that Big E last couple of times he's been on a mic or at ringside or on commentary, he hasn't been that good on the mic, but Bad News Barrett can be. So you could give him time on the mic and he can get over and sell the title, because it needs selling, because it's in a really bad state.
That's it.
One thing that I was not expecting this week was treated to a special Mother's Day message. Obviously, Mother's Day in America is different than what we have over here.
Let's take the piss out of Mr. T again. Mother, 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 mother.
Yeah.
Mother, mother, mother.
A word to your mother. Yeah.
Mother, mother.
Mother, mother. I am your mother, Matt. No, let's not go into what we were talking about anymore.
Your mother.
Yeah. So yeah, it was essentially a collection of clips of him saying "mother" and trying to rhyme it at his Hall of Fame induction speech. I found it a little bit funny, at least, mainly because I saw the video that was out after the Hall of Fame that did all of the.
You mean that counted them off?
That counted them off. Yeah, there was like 74 times or something like that he said the word "mother."
Yeah.
So WWE kind of poked fun at it. You know, I hope that Mr. T found it funny. He could probably find it quite offensive. I don't know, but
that's it. Mr. T now is going to sue WWE.
Well, I doubt he would do stuff like that. But I didn't hear anything on Twitter that he was upset with it. I do know that with that actual speech that he did at the Hall of Fame, that he was quite sad that he wasn't able to finish it. But the guy did go on for a long time. He never got to the point. So I don't blame WWE for pulling him off early. But yeah, regardless, so happy Mother's Day to everyone in all the mothers in the US. Our Mother's Day was a while back, so we've already had that.
That's it.
Coulter and Swagger came out to bury Cinco de Mayo.
With their deportation list.
I thought this was brilliant, actually, his deportation list. I do, however, have one thing that he missed. He missed Del Rio out on that list.
At one point that was like Del Rio was like his key target.
Yeah. I mean, that's the main reason why Coulter came back into WWE
Del
was to.
Rio.
Yeah. So I thought that was quite funny that he was missed off of that list. But maybe Coulter is just forgetting about people in his character's old age anyway.
That's it.
This brought out Adam Rose, the debut. Completes with his Rosebuds coming out beforehand. The party music was on. His party entourage was fired up. Adam Rose was fired up, but unfortunately the crowd weren't. So
some people sang along.
They did, but when you actually, from the initial part where he got into the ring, there wasn't really much fan reaction from him. And I will say, however, he is the master of the trustful, so that's quite interesting. You know, he gets up on the rope, does the trustful. I'm expecting a botch one week, and that would be quite hilarious. But so yeah, basically what happened here is that Adam Rose told Coulter not to be a lemon, but to be a rosebud. Kicked Jack Swagger in the head and tossed him out of the ring. Then they partied, and the fans proceeded to do nothing. You could hear a pin drop, unfortunately. It was a very lackluster debut for Adam Rose. Now, obviously, they're going to build up towards a Swagger-Adam Rose match, probably at the pay-per-view. I don't see him having a match.
That's meant to be his actual proper in-ring debut.
Yeah. So they're going to do the build-up towards his first match, which I guess that's fine. That's not a problem. But I did think, however, that either the crowd, just went into it, or they just need to learn how to get into it. But personally,
well, apparently because Payback's going to be in Chicago, they're hoping that the Chicago crowd will get behind it because they're quite a bit more of a ruckus crowd.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes from there anyway. But I think
I've been saying for weeks I don't like Rose.
Yeah, I think they need to tweak the character a little bit, personally, to get it so it's easier for the fans to get along with it. I mean, his theme music's getting over, and that's always a plus. But
there's the one thing I hate the most is the fact that I hate the character, but I do find myself sort of humming along to his song. Like, I'm not even watching Raw, or just like I'm at work, and then suddenly just like I'm at the top of my head, just like do 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 do.
Which is a mark of a good theme music. So
it's true.
So yeah,
I hate it.
You hate it. Yeah, it's in your head. I think there's tweaks that need to be done to this to make it more crowd friendly, so they can get involved a little bit better. Currently, if this show was any recollection, it was a very dead debut, which is not a good thing. But maybe like the crowd, almost like the Emma stuff, they need to see it a few times before they start getting involved. And
it's like what the hell was his like hopping and prancing around the ring? It's like I don't understand that. It's like where he's like kicking, like kickouts and all things like that, like where he's just proper. I can't even talk about it.
It's boggled your mind too
I can't
much.
even get my mind around it. I just
let's say that they
I hated it. I did not like it. I don't like Adam Rose. I don't want Adam Rose. I want Leo Kruger back.
Let's say that obviously this is a playoff of Russell Brand. This is basically Russell Brand in WWE, the character. So if they're going to go along with this, I wonder what the likeness is that Adam Rose develops a sex addiction, and that runs around.
That's it. Like crazy drug addiction or something.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Well, to be perfectly honest, if you've not seen the memes, like I used to be a big game hunter until I took a shitload of LSD to the knee.
I can just imagine that him just tripping out backstage, just saying "follow the buzzards" over and over again. That'd be quite alright.
Rosebud, Rosebud, just crazy drunk or something, just swigging a bottle of Jack.
That's it. Yeah, quite interesting. We'll see. I like I said, either this is going to carry on, it's going to get no response, or it will trickle in. But this was not the ideal debut for Adam Rose. They were expecting a few. You
mentioned Emma. I've got Emma's music stuck in my head.
Yeah, so
damn it.
Moving on anyway from Adam Rose, we're going to keep an eye on his debut. For the record, however, I do think Bo Dallas is going to get a much bigger fan response than Adam Rose will.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge boo.
Yeah, which is exactly what they want, whereas Adam Rose got nothing, so we'll see how it goes from there. Wyatt's versus Shield, which is pretty much the heavyweight clash of 3 versus 3 matches that they could ever have on the roster. Even with Evolution against Shield, you can't get much better than Wyatt's Shield. That's the ideal match. Going on. Another great match from these guys. Really, it was very, very good. Very long. It wasn't as good as their first match, but
that is very true. It wasn't as good as their sort of not extreme. It was their Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah.
But my only problem is the fact that it's now getting quite samey with regards to Seth Rollins.
No, I think it's okay.
Like, oh, look, Seth Rollins is getting some offense. Oh, no, and now he's in the opposing corner. Now let's watch Seth Rollins get beat up for a bit.
Oh, well, you say that, but I mean, Shawn Michaels did that shtick for decades, and it worked out for him. So I don't think it's that much of an issue. I still think that this match was very, very good. I don't want anyone to think that we're not saying, it wasn't that good.
Oh, not at all. I loved it.
It was amazing. It's just that the bar was set so high with their first match that it's going to be near on impossible to actually hit that quality level again.
Hey, we still got a "This Is Awesome" chant, and it hadn't even kicked off.
Because, I mean, you know what you're going to get with these two factions going against each other. They had, like I said, it was a brilliant match that they had. The match ended, however, with Evolution making the distraction and costing Shield the match, to cap off what was all in all pretty bad night for those guys. And Batista, as we said, Batista was here. We expected him to be leaving to go and promote his movie. No, he was still here. He was actually the one that delivered the powerbomb to Rollins at the end of this match.
They did the triple powerbomb.
Yeah, as the final FU.
That wasn't Rollins.
Was it? No, I think
the triple powerbomb went on to Reigns.
Yeah, that's what I said. Reigns was the guy getting triple powerbomb by Batista.
After taking an RKO and a pedigree.
That's it, yeah. He got sufficiently destroyed, shall we say. Batista's still around. Whether he's going to wrestle one more match, then go on this thing, or maybe he'll get taken out in the midway to the pay-per-view. We'll see how it goes from there. I mean, it's perfectly poised for Sheamus to take his position because he won the belt off of a Shield member, so it kind of fits. But we'll see how it goes from there anyway. They could easily do the storyline of them getting back at Evolution by destroying their monster, powerhouse Batista. So that could be quite interesting. That's the show. Evolution ends looking tall. Pretty much the same sort of stuff that they did back when this rivalry started.
Yeah.
But it's still good. I still enjoyed it. And so in this Raw, you've got a mixed bag, really. You've got some good matches to be seen here. Some interesting stuff. You also got a big pile of poo. You've got the whole Adam Rose thing. You've got Adam Rose's debut, the Matador segment. There's a lot of cringeworthy stuff to be seen on this Raw.
Brie Bella's terror acting.
Yeah. Mixed bag. I think is probably the best thing you could do. Like I said, the Del Rio Bryan match I thought was fantastic. It's just a shame that they didn't reference how good the match actually was. Like I said, you got Wyatt's versus Shield. There's good stuff to be seen here. It's just a matter of trawling through quite a few bag segments. I think probably the best way to put it actually is not so much a mixed bag, but anything that was a segment wasn't that good, but the matches were pretty good. I think that's probably a pretty good description this week of Raw. So
I can go with that.
It depends on what you want. If you, I I mean, obviously you had the Bray Wyatt segment, which was brilliant. But if you want good wrestling, this actual Raw had quite a lot of good wrestling this week, but a lot of bad segments. I think that's probably the best way to put it.
Safe bet, yeah.
Any lingering thoughts on Raw? Anything that you'd like to add going forward?
For Raw? No. There's nothing else.
We always cover it in such amazing description for you guys.
Still hate Adam Rose.
Still hate Adam Rose. You're not keen on him.
I just no. I'm not going to get won over by that anytime soon.
Don't be a lemon. Be a rosebud.
I will be a lemon.
You're happy to be a lemon.
I'm happy to be a lemon.
Yeah, that's fine. Actually, let us know in the comments. Are you a lemon or a rosebud? Let us know. We'd like to hear if you're high on this guy or not.
Are you a lemon or a rosebud, Tony?
I'm going to hold out yet. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I'm going to hold out. I'm not won over yet. Am I not worn off? So let's see how it goes. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, if you're listening, leave a comment. Let us know if you're a lemon or a rosebud.
Yeah.
That'd be quite interesting.
I don't know. I think the one thing with that character is after watching NXT the other day, and it was just like, oh, I'll tell you one thing about Camacho. He's a party pooper. And then suddenly just all of his rosebuds were just like, party pooper. Oh. And I was just like, yeah, that's just dead. That character's dead to me now.
Oh, dear.
Done.
Dead on arrival for you, Matt.
That's it.
So, rant number 2. TNA. This is our topic of the week. We do talk about TNA more often than we did at the start of our relaunch of the podcast.
That's very true.
But I have caught a lot of TNA over the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. I think I have now a pretty good grasp on the things they're doing right, and also a lot of things they're doing wrong. It's just unfortunate for them that their latest episodes, their 2 last episodes, kind of highlight a lot of the stuff that's wrong with TNA at the moment. Now, first of all, I'd like to say the stuff that I do like about TNA.
Gunner.
Yeah, I think Gunner is a guy that can really get over. I think he's one of the guys that I think that can make him a lot of money. Not only him, I think there's a few guys there that I really enjoy watching. James Storm, I think is brilliant. I love the rivalry between Gunner and James Storm. Samoa Joe, I do enjoy Eric Young, as the champion. As much as there is a few people don't, because he's been booked as his comedy character for so long. So there's a few guys there that I do enjoy watching. A few guys that that when they're having matches and good quality matches, I really do like watching TNA some weeks. However, there's multiple problems that the show has. I'm going to go through each one of them now. And I'm going to tell you, because you don't watch TNA, Matt, so I'm going to try and explain it to you as best as I can to our viewers, so you can...
it's not the fact that I don't try. I do try.
But yeah,
I'll flick through the channels, and I get onto like Challenge TV over here in the UK, and I'm sort of like, TNA, let's give it a try. 5-10 minutes in, it's like, nah, Shade. I think probably because the last time I did that, I saw Derek Bateman, and I was just like, he's like one of their main stars.
Yeah, one of their top stars, yeah.
Oh dear. EC3.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
So, right, first off, the way that we get our episodes over here, people in the US may have already watched one more episode to me. I have watched a little bit of the new episode, but I mean, in times that I get it, I don't get a lot of time to watch the newest episode, just the way that I get it over here in Ireland, right? So last week's episode, which is the one I technically watched this week, there was obviously this was the fallout of Sacrifice, so they needed to be a new number 1 contender. They decided that the best way to do it,
what did the person in Sacrifice lose or something?
Well, EY won the belt, and that was Magnus's rematch, so they needed a new number 1 contender, which, I get. You want to be a new contender for EY. So, yeah, Eric Young's there, MVP's there, and they have the 3 contenders. They have Mr. Anderson, Gunner, and Bobby Roode. The guys that all won their matches at Sacrifice. The problem is with this is that they wanted to make like a tournament with these guys, but it seemed like they were a man short because they were going to be drawing cards to see who got a bye in this mini tournament, and then they were going to have like a tournament from there. So it seems complicated. It's not that complicated, but to a general wrestling fan, just opening is a little bit like, okay, what are they doing with this? It's a little bit odd. So
it's a lot more complicated than like Wrestler 1 versus Wrestler 3, Wrestler 2 versus Wrestler 4.
Yeah, then the winners go against each other. Then there's your. It seemed like they had a guy short, personally. In my opinion. And so the issue is that Bobby Roode had the bye, so it was going to be Anderson against Gunner, and then obviously the winner of that goes against Bobby Roode, and then the winner of that is the number one contender for that night because they go against Eric Young that night. So it's not even building up to the pay-per-view. Yeah, it's actually a match for that night, which I don't agree with. I think if you give too many title defenses, it's going to get old very quick. But anyway, let's go into this segment more. I'm not going to go through how the show went. I'm going to go through each thing that I think was wrong. Now, I know WWE don't choose the contenders much better. You look at Kane, he lost in like less than 5 minutes at WrestleMania, and now he's the number one contender for the belt. Doesn't make much sense. I'm not saying that WWE do it better, but it doesn't make it okay. You know, both companies are doing it wrong. You know, that's what I'd say about that. Now, the problem with this as well, during the show, all the matches that involved this mini tournament to see who was going to face Eric Young were over probably in less than 5 minutes. Less than the time that the Divas matches on WWE are getting. That's how quick they were over. So we have to buy that. I get it that Mr. Anderson could be beaten quickly by Gunner. We get that, but the rivalry that Gunner's been in with James Storm, he's been going to hell and back, getting the shit kicked out of him, and he's basically got down the tag of like being Mr. Durable, that he can take loads of damage and still stay in it. He gets beaten in less than 5 minutes by Bobby Roode.
Yeah, so that's detrimental to your character.
It just doesn't seem like it makes sense. You got Gunner who took a shit kick in from James Storm and did not give up, and yet he gets like one move done on him here, and he's gone. He's done. It doesn't make sense to the way that they booked his character. I get him losing. I don't have a problem with him losing and having Bobby Roode as the number one contender. That's fine. But booking him as this like indestructible monster and then him getting beaten by simple moves like the night after, no, makes no sense to me personally. Now the match between Bobby Roode and Eric Young was fine. It was good. Obviously Eric Young retained his belt. But it seems like they kind of overdid this too much. It was to try and give the show some sort of backbone, but they could have stretched this out. The one of the good things about tournaments on TV is that you can do a bracket each week, and that gives you like a multiple weeks worth of matches that means something.
Well, that's it. Look at it. You had the Intercontinental Tournament on Raw, and that took 3 weeks.
Exactly. And then that was to crown the number one contender, and then the match obviously happened for the belt at the pay-per-view. It worked perfectly. But they rushed it. They wanted it all in this night, so you had lots of matches that ended before they started, and yeah, that's pretty much the best thing I can say about it. So that's what I'd say about that. Rushed, didn't like it at all. It didn't make sense. Second on the list, Dixie Carter is atrocious on the mic. Really, really bad. Her rivalry with Bully Ray. Basically, Bully Ray got put through a table at the pay-per-view by Dixie Carter. She dressed up as one of the camera guys and pushed him off. So now the rivalry's going on between her and Bully Ray. Bully Ray had a table spray painted with Dixie and said that he was going to put her through the table. And then, just as he's got out after doing all this, and he said, I'm going to guarantee I'm going to put you through a table. And he gets her in the middle of the ring after a horrible Dixie Carter segment. He puts her in, just about to powerbomb her. MVP tells him not to do it, so he doesn't do it.
That's what... Rage and anger. Don't do it. Okay.
Yeah, that's essentially it.
That's not Bully Ray.
Yeah.
Already goes with the bully side of it, doesn't it?
So, yeah, everyone in the arena, obviously, the payoff to this whole segment was Dixie Carter getting put through a table by Bully Ray, you know, the face getting over the heel, and it just seemed like, he just got told not to do it, so he didn't. So, yeah, not very good. Number 3. One of the things that I always thought that was good with TNA was the Knockouts division. However, when I started watching it, it's not been impressive. This has been since the return of the Beautiful People, of which have had good matches. I'm not saying that they're bad wrestlers. Angelina Love and Velvet Sky are actually pretty decent. But all the matches that they've had since they returned have been pretty crap. So I've always operated on the assumption that they had their Divas division on almost like a lock. It was one of the things that they always did better than WWE, and I imagine they have done for quite some time. But I have to admit, since I've started watching it, I haven't seen much to really keep me enthused in their Knockouts division. And they seem more focused on the Beautiful People's assets rather than their wrestling ability, shall we say. Yeah.
To go with a name like the Beautiful People generally sort of is a giveaway.
Yeah, and they I mean, I get it. TNA are trying to be something that WWE isn't in this case. They're trying to flaunt the fact that they can sexualize their girls and give the guys, something that WWE don't do, anymore.
That's it.
And there was a lot of that. There was stuff like there was stripping of Angelina Love and Velvet Sky to their bra and panties and stuff like that. So, but the actual in-ring matches to me aren't up to par. Number 4. You weren't expecting a huge list of this, were you?
No, it's fine.
Yeah. They have imported talent from Wrestle One in Japan. Very talented guys like Sanada and Tigre Uno. The problem is they're being severely underutilized, and they're basically given less than 3-minute matches. Sanada is the current X Division champion. He's one of their top champions. But since I've started watching, I've not seen him in a lengthy match, and this is supposed to be one of the hottest rising stars in Japan. So, and he was given Tigre Uno, a guy that he's wrestled before, a guy that they've had good matches with beforehand, but TNA don't give them the time to be able to perform said matches.
You're talking like someone he's probably had a long-standing rivalry with back in Japan, who's probably gone like 20-minute matches.
Yeah, brilliant matches as well.
Like you got 3.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and like Sanada,
I could go for 20. Now you got 3.
Sanada's being booked as this guy on TNA Explosion because I've been trying to catch that as well. This is like their extra hour show, where they do recap and like their comedy skits and stuff like this. Sanada's kind of booked as this guy who's like comes in as a little bit of I wouldn't say I hate to say comedy character, but he gets like the upper last laugh on like the Bromans and EC3 and all this lot. He's been more featured. He has more time on these little segments on Explosion than he does in the ring. So yeah, that's a crime, TNA. That really is. You've got these guys. They can go. They really can. These guys in Japan, they can do stuff that guys in America just can't do. You know what I mean? They are honed in on their craft, but this isn't where they're useful. Get them in the ring. Get them to show the American audience what they can do, and you will get somewhere. So I've lost them at numbers. I guess it's number 5, 6. Really don't care. There's a lot of stuff. This is on the flow of the show, okay? Another issue here. The Impact that I watched all the way through, so I guess it's last week's Impact, not this week's. They had, I think, 3 or 4 promos before any matches started on the show. So that means you had I think I had 2 advert breaks before I had a wrestling match on my TV. Which killed the show. It means you kept giving them the fans promos and the viewers promos when we desperately needed a match. Imagine if WWE did this. I know sometimes I'm critical that they start their matches off with promos. Imagine if they did 4 promos back to back. It would kill the show, and it did for me. I was desperate for some wrestling match, and then obviously they did one of these matches involving the title, the title tournament that was going on, and it ended in less than 5 minutes. So, and then it was to another promo. So it was more in-ring talking, not enough doing. And it for the first section of Impact, it was horrendous. It doesn't matter how good the promos were. There was too many of them, and they weren't particularly good either. So, I mean, can you imagine that having having like an Evolution promo, then having like a quarter promo, and then having another promo, and then another promo on top of that? You would be dying for a match.
Burn out easily.
There's a reason why you do match promo. That's because it gives you good buffer between the matches. But they did I think about 3 or 4 promos at the start of this show. It was not good, and it killed the flow of the show. And that means that there was not much good wrestling on Impact at all. Now, to what I've seen so far and what I've heard has happened. This is my final bit of stuff with TNA. MVP has now turned heel. If you don't know, Matt, he is. Yeah,
I was going to ask at the end, what is MVP doing there?
Well, he's like the commissioner. He's like the head of wrestling operations in TNA. He won a match against Dixie Carter's guys and won Control. But in the classic TNA thing, he's less than a couple of months in there. Now he's drunk with power. He's gone heel, and now he's made himself the number 1 contender, which I guess every TNA fan and wrestling fan in the world saw coming. It would have been more of a shock if he hadn't done it. It was way too early if you're going to do this for it to be happen, and it was just it was like the typical Russo swerve. I know that Russo denies that he's doing TNA booking, but it's either him or someone that likes his method of working. Because if you
him or a guy who watched nothing but old WCW.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that they should have done, if they were going to choose MVP going heel, they should have had small hints. They should have him abusing his power in small ways, but still in a face way, but he's still abusing his power and do stuff like this. But they decided just to F that, and they're just going to make him full out heel, just do it, which is complete 180 turn on his character. So either MVP is the greatest actor of all time, and he's just done all this to get a title match, which I don't buy. You know what I mean? It just makes no sense. Or they just decided, I know what we'll do, we'll just make the main character guy heel, because why not? So at the pay-per-view now, you've now got EY defending his title against MVP, and I don't put it over MVP to win. So there you go.
Fair enough.
TNA in a nutshell, and I didn't even... this is just the stuff that was wrong on the shows that I've watched. There's actually far deep-rooted problems. I think one of the issues with TNA as a whole, they don't market themselves very well. Their presentation, in terms of how they deal with their promos and their backstage segments, is poor. But there's talent there. You can... If you fix a few things, which are, in my opinion, easily fixed... you can have a very good, decent show that gives you week in, week out really good content. But they fall way too badly on the old mistakes that they've done beforehand, and they don't learn. And they haven't done this for a few years. And it was a shame, because I got used to some really good in-ring matches, and then this week on Impact, it was a really badly planned flow of the show, bad promos, bad matches, and just really wasted potential.
Can we go back to six-sided ring TNA?
I would like to go back to six-sided ring TNA.
Like, even just how it was run and everything.
Yeah, when they're on the rise.
Back when it could have been a WWE competition.
Yeah, I mean, look at it now, right? WWE are so assured in their position as the top company that they have got no problem in promoting TNA's talents just because they had a history in WWE. They had segments about Jeff Hardy on their WWE.com website, and they don't give a shit. They don't care. They honestly think that they could put an advertisement on TNA on their show and it still wouldn't beat them. You know what I mean?
That's it.
They're that sure that they've got.
Kurt Angle, Kurt Angle's worked here before.
Yeah, we'll just put something on our thing which obviously promotes him. Doesn't matter that he's working for another company, because that company.
That's it. It's near the Olympics. Yeah. WWE superstars who were Olympians. Kurt Angle, yeah, that's fine. Let's chuck him on there.
Yeah, and it's not like Taboo, which is like what WWE would treat it as before if they thought it would be a threat. They honestly have no, they don't perceive TNA to be any sort of threat to them, and that's the biggest insult that WWE could give to TNA. But it's not
even the fact that we see you as a threat; we just nothing you.
Yeah, exactly. They don't even reference them. It's just like they don't exist, and they're not even worried. TNA should be ashamed that they put WWE with that mindset. They should be challenging. But it's the funny thing as well is that it's not WWE that's done this to them. It's TNA that's done this to themselves, and it is stuff that they can fix. And I hope they do, because they've got good talent. And it's not as if I want TNA to fold up shop and go away. I don't. Let's say that happens. Barely any of that talent they've got on TNA is going to go on to WWE. It's not like WWE going to snap up all their contracts. That ain't going to happen. They probably would get one or two and leave the rest to rot, and that's the way it works. So I think that I don't want TNA to disband. I think there was a place for it. They just need to look at some of the episodes and really be harsh on themselves and say, okay, yeah, we really messed up on this. No more of this. Let's not repeat these mistakes over and over and over again. So I've done a lot of talking over TNA. Of what I've said anyway, Matt, do you kind of get the understanding of what I'm saying, of the issues that they've currently got?
It's nothing that... With regards to like their show quality and that, it's nothing that I haven't already seen before. Like, even if it's in those like 5-10 minutes where I've tried... Like, I think I've probably... most I've watched is probably about half an hour of TNA. And even then, it was just sort of like... I've just... No. Yeah. Just like the whole quality of the show, it's just like, nah.
Yeah, it's sometimes the presentation is really off.
That's it.
That's my main issue. And like I said, their marketing is one of their worst things as well. The fact is that sometimes they'll go to places, or if they go on tour, unless they go to the UK because the UK is starved of wrestling. Sometimes people don't even know that they're there. that they're actually in town, and that's the worst issue for them. A lot of people don't know
I think
that
the worst
TNA
thing
exists.
is they need to stop. I mean, it's not like they're the ones putting the pictures online, but they need to try and fix the problem of the amount of pictures that get posted up of TNA on a live show.
Yeah,
and it's just like, and it's just barren, like just dead.
It's at a point now that even offering free tickets ain't going to feel where they are. They're struggling, and one thing they desperately need to do is just remove Dixie Carter off of it. She's horrendous as a heel. She's trying her best to be better than Stephanie McMahon, but she can be nowhere near as good as Stephanie.
She's a McMahon for a start.
Yeah, exactly. It just doesn't work. But that's my advice anyway. I think you've got a few big stars there that if you give them time in the ring, I'm really going to be interested in what their product has to give. They did a week where it just highlighted everything that I thought was wrong with the show.
Yeah.
So it goes from there. Is there anything else? Did you catch NXT this week at all, or?
Not really. I thought I would try and catch up, but it's off my Sky Plus box, which is really bizarre because it doesn't seem to record. I don't think they air it over here weekly like they do Raw.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I'll get like 3 Raws just like backdated like on my Skybox because I've watched them on my computer, not on my Skybox.
Yeah,
but I'll only have like 1 NXT, and it's just like.
Yeah, so
okay.
I get what you mean. Yeah, because obviously with the network launching as well. I mean, because we still get it on TV over here because obviously we don't have the network, so we still get all that stuff. But the thing is with NXT, it comes over here. There's no set. It's not like a weekly time slot that it has, so it's a bit awkward to get a hold of. Yeah,
an hour to fill sort of thing.
Yeah.
Chuck NXT in it.
Yeah, that's fine. So obviously there's a few things to catch up on NXT the next couple of weeks, so hopefully we do that as well.
That's it.
One thing I think that TNA could take off of NXT is the fact that they NXT are very much settled on the fact that they give you at least one good, real high quality match on that hour-long show every week. You know, it's consistent. TNA needs to be consistent in what they deliver to their fans, and they'll reap the rewards. They may not get ratings spike every now and then just because they've tried to force like a title defense, but give consistency of good quality wrestling and good storylines, and it will eventually come. You'll grow. But at the moment, they're too keen on hoping that they get a spike in the ratings because of something they've thrown out on free TV. Just doesn't work.
Just like a then and rather than a then and now, just sort of like think to the future.
Yeah. Don't throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Build for the future, and you know, it would be a lot better from there on out. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're too worried. They want to get these ratings and show them off to people, rather than get a clear plan of what they want to do in the next couple of years and stick to it rather than deviating, because maybe one week they have a horrendous week in the ratings. No, just stick along with it, you'll be fine. But they don't do that. They panic. So
it's almost like they panic booking.
Yeah, panic booking, which in my opinion the show reeks of it sometimes, which is not good. So I think that's the show this week, the podcast.
Yeah, so.
Good podcast this week. We talked about Raw and TNA in quite in depth
detail.
Yeah, and obviously the Adam Rose debuting. Quite a few big bits to talk about this week. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. So leave a comment or any questions that you'd like to ask us. We've got a Superstar Spotlight for next week. We haven't yet decided who that's on, so you'll find out next week. There's quite a few people that I'm thinking of doing, but I haven't come on to a decision yet, so we'll see. So yeah, if you guys got any ideas of what you want us to do for the Superstar Spotlight, you know, leave a comment. I'll put that into consideration. I definitely will. And apart from that, if you're new to the podcast and you enjoyed it, thanks a lot. Why don't you click that subscribe button and you won't miss us again. That way you can catch us each week. If you want to support our show, we would very much appreciate that. Share the video around, give it a like if you'd like to, even though that's not pivotal, but we still would like it regardless. And apart from that, then just thanks for spending the time with us this week, and we'll catch you again next week, which is the build up to the next pay-per-view. What is the next pay-per-view? It's Payback, isn't it? Yeah,
it is Payback. Yes.
So we're building up towards Payback now, and we'll talk about how some of these hopefully they'll book Daniel Bryan better than they did this week. So
well, they can't book him worse.
Yeah, they can't book him much worse, so that's it can only go up from here. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys, and we'll catch you again next week.
That's it.
Bye bye.
Catch you soon.